How can you take advantage of a small room? This question I get asked a lot, and I'm going to give you some suggestions. I don't have a magic answer, and it comes from Jeff, and Jeff didn't include where he was from, so I don't know where Jeff's from. Jeff? How do you incorporate a collection in a small space? Just aware that we have not so much of a huge sound, but I want to be able to not be able to use the rule of thirds because my room is too small, right? So will placing the speakers farther out, like you say, thus reducing the distance of the sound. His speakers are Martin Logan Request speakers. They're electrostatic hybrids. And what does he say here? I know you hate the vice, so shush. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Oh, I know, because of the electrostatic, yeah. I can't wait to hook my old B&K up for some stellar sound. And I think, yeah, you'd be, B&K is good stuff, but stellar is better. Anyway, couple problems. And let's start with his thing where he told me to shush, because that's a sure sign to keep me talking. Electrostats are dipoles. And that means that like a planar or a speaker that has sound coming out of both its front and its rear, you have, it's called a dipole, and the sound out the rear is out of phase with the sound out the front. So as the electrostat moves forward on the front and pushes air out or pressurizes the room out in that direction, in the back, of course, the opposite is happening because it's just a sheet of mylar or whatever they're using on that. And so it's sucking in the back and pushing in the front, and then it goes this seesaw motion, right? Makes sense? So that's what a dipole does. And so one of the problems with a dipole is that if you're too close to the rear wall, you're going to unbalance the speaker and really mess up the imaging. So with a dipole, you're going to have it away from the wall, small room or not. You're just stuck with that. You can't push them up against a wall. It won't work. Even if you go to great extremes to dampen that wall and to do something, to help, that'll be better, but it will not solve the dipole problem. So you're going to have to pull it away from the rear wall as much as you possibly can. Now, that said, in a small room, you might find yourself all of a sudden, pushing up against the listening position, but that's okay, because one of the tricks to working in a small room is to get closer and closer to what we would refer to as a near field monitor system. So imagine a desktop, and we have some small speakers. They're sitting on a desk, and we're playing them, and they're set up for that desk situation. Now, when you move away from there, it's not going to sound great, right? Because they were never designed to fill the room. But in what we call a near field system, when you set it up in a small area, you can set it up to where you get a really excellent image. Engineer Darren Myers has a wonderful little near field monitor set up with his Harbeths, and you can easily hear great depth and wonderful imaging at his desk, but stand away from it and you can't. So that's part of the trick that we can do in a small room. We can make it more of a near field, close, intimate listening situation to get better sound. So what I would wind up doing is pull those Martin Logans out a little ways. You're going to have to tow them in, something I don't particularly like doing, but near field monitors and near field listening situations, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to tow them in a little bit. You're going to have to sit closer to them in that triangle and try to get as close as it makes sense within the room. Because the other thing you don't want is too close to the side walls. That's the other problem we have in a small room. If the speakers are too close to the sidewalls, you're going to get sidewall interactions. And while that's less in a dipole, because again, dipoles have sound coming from the front and the back, and where the sound from the front and the back meet, the sides, there's a cancellation. And so you can get those fairly close to the sidewalls. That's one of the advantages of a dipole, but still you have this conical pattern that comes out, so you don't want to mash that sound up against the wall. So best advice for you, pull them away from the wall as best you can. Pull them in. Don't try and create this couch listening experience for 2 or 3 people, this big thing, and hope you're going to get away with it in a small room, because you won't. But if you focus on a near-field listening experience, then you can get away with some pretty spectacular sound within a small room. That's my best advice. Hope it helps. Thanks, and I will talk to you tomorrow, wherever you are. Thanks, Jeff.